everybody, me and Dean back at you with another video, and today I'm presenting episode 4 of my various varietal series. And today I'm pulling out all the stops with a varietal that I'm sure none of you ever heard of. Let me see if I can pronounce it correctly. Cabernet Sauvignon. Oh, Cabernet Sauvignon. And you have heard of it? Of course you have. It's the number 1 planted grape in the world. Of course you've heard of it. So, how interesting is this going to be? Well, I'm going to bring you, I actually forgot to count here, 8 Cabernet Sauvignons from various parts of the world. I'm going east, I'm going south, I'm going west. Well, I'm not going west, I'm already pretty much as west as you can go. I'm going east and south. I've got Cabernet from BC, I've got Cabernet from Chile, I've got Cabernet from Spain, 4 from the United States, 3 of them in California. How can that be interesting? They're all very different. We'll get to that in a little while. Or do I actually have 5 from the United States? No, I have 5 from the United States, 4 from California, 1 from Washington. The one from Washington is going to be a very special bottle. I'll save that one to last. Save the best for last, I think. I'm not sure. So today I'm starting off in the Penedès region of Spain with this one here. Some of you might recognize that bottle. 2015 Mas La Plana from the Familia Torres. Miguel Torres sometimes it's called, but the Familia Torres I think is the official name of the winery. So 2015, a very warm and dry year in Spain. This is actually one of the oldest Cabernet Sauvignons in Spain. Oh, and this is 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. And I mentioned that because although these are all Cabernet Sauvignon, this is probably the only one that's 100%. Maybe the one from BC is. I'll look that up later. I'll look it up as I go along, but depending on where you are in the world, they have very different rules on what you can put in a varietal wine. In Spain, you must, to call it Cabernet Sauvignon, or any other varietal for that matter, you must have at least 85% of that grape in there. As I said, this one's 100%, so that's not a big problem for them. In the United States, California, Washington, Chile as well, I believe, 75% is the number. So you could actually put 25% of other grapes in that wine and still call it a Cabernet Sauvignon or whatever varietal we're talking about. In fact, you'll quite often see some Oakville Cabernets from California will be basically Bordeaux blends. They'll have all 5 Bordeaux varietals in it, and maybe only about 75 or 76% of Cab Sauv, but they still really call them Cab Sauv because that meets the rules. So, all right, so let's dig right in here with this one. What I'm going to do here is something a little different. I'm going to score these wines as I'm tasting them. They may not be my final score, but they probably will be. And some of these ones I may have had before. I haven't looked up to see if I have. Obviously, I'm not going to rank all 8 of these right this second. This will be a staggered tasting. But we did open this one. It's been decanting for 20 minutes or so. A lot of these are all corks, so I can Coravan as many of them as I want, so that this doesn't take 6 weeks to do this tasting. But let's dig in with 2015 Mas La Plana from Familia Torres. Ooh, very herbal. Cassis, blackberry, a little smoky, blueberry, cherry. Hint of oak. Very nice nose. Now I have had this one before, not this vintage though. I'm pretty sure I've never had this vintage before, but I have had other ones, 11, 12, 14 I think. It's always usually a very delicious wine. On my spreadsheet where I put the wine information as I buy them, I think I put $65 when I bought this. And the last time I checked at BC Liquor Stores, it's now $75. But honestly, still a pretty decent QPR, really, if you can get it for $75. Oh. 1 second. I don't know if you saw or heard the scratching at the door, but we have a guest dog has come to join us. She's quite big into Cabernet Sauvignon. So, let's see. So I had a sip already, it's delicious. Cassis. A lot of black fruit. Blackberry. Dark chocolate. A little bit of oak influence. some minerality, a little bit of smoke. Acidity's medium plus. Tannins are medium plus to high still. This could use some more aging or some more decanting. Nice wine. Yeah, so I would score this 93 points for 75 bucks. It's a really good QPR. We'll be interested to see when we pair some of the other ones. I think off the top of my head, this is probably the second cheapest bottle here. Maybe third. I'm not sure. We'll get into that as I get through the wines. But $75 for this wine is a really good price. No question about that. So yes, that is wine number 1 from Penedès in Spain. Let's see what number 2 is. All right, for the second Cabernet of this tasting, we're going a few thousand miles west and south and back in time about 2 decades. I'm very excited about this one. This isn't the one I said was going to be the special bottle, but it might be pretty special too. Santa Rita Casa Real Cabernet Sauvignon, 1996. Yep, 1996. I picked this one up at an auction at the Vancouver International Wine Festival 2 years ago, when the festival wasn't going on, but they still had the auction. I got a case of Chilean wine. It was 800 bucks for 6 bottles or something like that. So I figured about 133 a bottle. So far we've had, this is the 5th one. There's one more in there. 3 of them were great. 1 of them was terrible. 1 of them was off, but you know, you get what you pay for, right? Something like that. All right, let's see here. Oh, it's funky, but not so funky. It's not going to taste good. Oh yeah, forest floor, mushroom, all the tertiary characteristics you might expect. This is from the Maipo Valley in Chile, by the way. Chilean cab. We've had quite a few of them. They're usually pretty delicious and usually get them at a real good bargain. You know, most Chilean wine is underpriced. We get a lot of Chilean wine here that's not that expensive. And it's usually of pretty good quality for the price. The really best stuff in Chile, they don't export it much of it to us, so we don't get maybe the very, very best quality, but it's there. Oh, all kinds of red fruit, cedar, graphite. It smells kind of what you'd expect a 30-year-old cab, not quite 30, right? 26-year-old cab to taste like, smell like. All right, let's see if it smells as good as it tastes. Oh, I'm excited for this. Yeah. Sometimes you get wine that's this old. It's an event. Even if the bottle isn't, it's not at its peak, but it's not old. It's not spoiled. It's not. Hi. Yeah, never mind. She's fine. Yeah, it's delicious. So it's. It's subtle. It's really good. It's there is still lots of fruit left. Black cherry, a little bit of red cherry too. Like desiccating strawberries. Decaying earth. Beetles and worms, no. Decaying earth sounds terrible, doesn't it? But it's, in a wine, I wouldn't want to go out and eat a whole bunch of decaying earth, but in a wine, it's quite lovely. Definitely some mushroom, maybe even truffle. There's a little bit of blackberry on the finish, medium plus finish. Not exceptionally long, but it certainly doesn't, it's not certainly not short. Honestly, it's starting to pick up characteristics that would make me think it's like a Italian Sangiovese or something. A little bit of dusty quality on the end, which is obviously the age of it. As you can imagine, the cork exploded into about 150,000 pieces when I tried to open it. So I pulled out my little special cork thing for getting really old corks out, and then it just got worse. I'm the worst cork puller in the world. I just can't use these damn things. So I have an electric one, which is great, but I can't put a 26-year-old cork in the electric one, right? It will explode, but I mean, I guess it didn't matter, it exploded anyway. I had someone to teach me how to do that one time. I've never been a bartender or never had to open wine with one of these. I pity the poor servers that have to use these things at restaurants. They're awful. Well, this is meant specifically for that, these little things for getting down there and gently pulling the cork out. But I guess, I don't know, maybe I have to use this first. Once I tried the regular corkscrew and it started to break apart, this became pretty useless. So I guess I needed to use this only, see if that would have worked. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, this love is wine. This love is wine. Love is wine. This wine is lovely. I would still give it 92 points. It is delicious. And it's, it's a treat to get something like this. How often do you get to taste a 26-year-old Chilean Cabernet Sauvignon? I'm gonna say not that often, right? Anyway, so I think dog's hungry. I'm gonna go feed her, and I'll be back with the next one in a minute. Okay, so here we are. We're gonna go to California now. One of the interesting things that I learned when I was doing this is the percentage of wine that comes out of Napa Valley. So 81% of the wine from the United States is from California. I'm a little surprised that it's that high because there's so many other good regions in California, but it makes sense. Okay, 81%. So how much of the wine from California do you think is from Napa? It's going to be a pretty big number, right? Because Napa is obviously the most famous region. It's not a big number. It's 4%. 4% of the wine from California comes out of Napa Valley. I find that fascinating. But I double-checked my facts a few different places, so it's true. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to take you on a little venture up through California. We're going to start in Sonoma, then we're going to move to Napa, where we're going to start in Oakville. We're going to go north to Calistoga, and then back down to the middle of the Stag's Leap district. Those are the 4 California cabs I've got to taste. Okay, so Napa Valley is surrounded by mountains, by the Atlas Peak Mountains on the east, by Mount Veeder on the west. And there's huge differences in the north and the south of the valley, and the mountain vineyards and the valley vineyards. You've got the mountain vineyards tend to produce wines that are a bit more structured, a bit more tannic, and a little more fruity as well. Obviously, Napa Valley is known for making very high quality wines. Maybe they're even more so known for making very expensive wines. Why is wine in Napa so expensive? Well, obviously the land is expensive. Everything down there is expensive. It's California. But one of the other interesting things I found out when researching this is that a lot of the wineries that make wine down there don't own the grapes. They have to buy them. They don't own the vineyards. So there's a middleman involved, and the middleman wants to get paid, y'all, right? So there goes the prices up again. So you get what you pay for, though, right? It's good wine for a reason. What's the difference between Napa Valley wine and Sonoma Valley wine? Sonoma County wine? About $100 a bottle. Obviously, Sonoma's, as you can see, Sonoma's closer to the ocean. It's a little bit cooler, but if you do a real deep dive on the microclimate, it's not that much cooler. So there's really not a huge difference in temperature in the mornings and the evenings from Sonoma to most parts of Napa. As I said, remember, Napa's not the same. It's the south and the north is very different and all that, but it's not like Sonoma is another whole world. So you can quite often get a better value out of Sonoma Valley Cabernet Sauvignons. I'm going to taste one today. It's only $40, and it's a pretty good wine. I've had it several times. It's not going to compete with the great Napa Valley wines, I don't think, but it's a good wine. That's what we're going to start with right now. So this is it. 2015 Jack London Vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon from Kenwood. This bottle actually on the back has got some information on it that's interesting. It says, our Jack London Cabernet Sauvignon thrives in the warm morning sun and cooling afternoon breeze in combination with the vineyard's red volcanic soil. Okay, so that's some information. I like it when they put information like that on the back of the bottle. I don't have to go searching for it to get all the details on that kind of thing. So here we go. this was $40 when I bought it. I've had it for a couple of years. Judging by what's happened to the wine prices the last couple of years, I suspect it's gone up, but that's what it was at the time. So this wine is aged 48 months in American oak. Really rich and intense. Plum, vanilla, black cherry, chocolate, black licorice. All right, let's see what it tastes like on the palate. That's a perfectly good wine. Good value for $40. Black fruit, black cherry, fig, chocolate, vanilla, medium plus finish. It's full bodied. It's oaky. It's a California cab. Some people don't like that, I get it, but it's perfectly quaffable. Drinking well right now. I would think if you've got these in your cellar, it's time to get them out, or at least a couple more years. I wouldn't let them go too much longer. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, just because it says Cabernet Sauvignon doesn't mean it's all Cabernet Sauvignon. This one's actually 89% Cab Sauv and 11% Merlot. Yeah, that's a good wine. Yeah, I would rate that one very solid 89 points. I think other vintages of this one I've had in the past I liked a little bit more, but it's still a really nice wine. No complaints there whatsoever. All right, so let's go to number 2 on those maps. Silver Oak 2012 Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon. So while that one, the one we just had, was a really good bargain at $40, this one is slightly more expensive than that. I think I haven't actually looked to see what it's pushing at BC Liquor Store now, but a little more than $40. Okay, in 2012, so 3 years older. Comes from the Oakville region. The fruit comes from Oakville. So immediately you get like intense notes of blackberry, coconut, sweet tobacco leaf, dill. Now that all comes from the American oak. American oak. This wine, they do the blend, which is 80% Cab Sauv, 10 Merlot, 7 Cab Franc, 3 Petit Verdot in this particular wine. They blend them together and then they put them into American oak for 48 months, I believe. And that is the style that a lot of people just don't like. And I know Napa Cabs, especially this one, Silver Oak, Cavus, the ones that are big and huge and bold and oaky, they spend a lot of time in American oak, and American oak tends to be a little sweeter. It's not sweet, but it's a little sweeter. Vanilla, coconut, dill, sweeter tobacco, all the things I said are on this wine are the things that tend to come from American oak as opposed to French oak. The coconut's quite intense, actually, and I love coconut, so that doesn't bother me in the least. It's lovely. Okay, so let's see if it tastes as good as it smells. Lovely. You know, if I were to choose a style of Cab Sauv, this is not my favorite style from Napa. It is a little bit. I understand why people are against this. You know, this is a very controversial style. It's what they were all doing in the 90s. And some wineries, like the ones I mentioned, this one, and Camus, and there's lots of them otherwise, have kept doing that style, that big, bold, intense, rich style. High alcohol, this is 14.4%, so it's not really high. A lot of them get over 15 in Napa. And I understand why people are, you know, sometimes reticent for that, but it's just good. It's not my favorite style, but I like it still. I'm fortunate, I guess, in that I like many different styles of California cabs. It smells incredible. I wouldn't say it tastes quite as good as it smells, because it smells like I just want to bathe in it. Yeah, black fruit, currant, cassis, tobacco, a little bit of earth. It's 10 years old and yet it's still so bright, so young and vibrant. Medium plus to high acidity still. Tannins are still medium plus to high. This could go probably another 15 years, honestly, and probably going to get better for another 3, 4, maybe 5 years, and then it'll drink beautifully for another, maybe 20 before it really starts to, it changes before it really starts to decline. I bet you there's a lot of wine left here. Chocolate comes through at the end almost like roasted cocoa beans and even though like maybe roasted coffee beans, mocha, medium plus to long. I'd say long finish. The finish is a little longer than the one from Sonoma, although that one finished pretty long too. So I would give this 92 points right now. I think might even give it a 92 plus because I think it is going to still get better. Although we'll just stick with 92 because it's not going to get that much better. I don't think at this age. But yeah, it's a lovely wine. Is it worth what you pay for it? Well, that's up to you. I think a lot of people would say no, and you could get 4 to 5 bottles of that for what you pay for one of these. Is this 5 times better than that? Well, I wouldn't say that's the case necessarily, but it's spectacularly good. And you get one of these or a couple of these for everyday drinking, and one of these for a special occasion when you really want to knock someone's socks off. It's really quite a nice wine. All right, so now let's go up north to Calistoga. All right, here we are. We're going up north, but as far as you can go in Napa Valley, and still be in Napa Valley, to Calistoga. On that map I showed you, you might notice Calistoga is in blue, which actually indicates that, to WineR, who made that map, that it's known for Zinfandel. Well, it is known for Zinfandel, but it's known for Cabernet Sauvignon too. More. Cab's still the king, even in Calistoga, but Zinfandel's a close second. So this is the warmest, the most topographically diverse AVAs in California. Makes big red wines, typically full-bodied, rich in color, rich in texture. Many Calistoga vineyards are noticeably warmer due to the distance from any significant body of water, the closest one being San Pablo Bay, 40 kilometers away. That fog, that San Francisco fog that rolls up through the valley, well, it disperses a little bit every time it goes up in elevation and distance from the ocean. So it doesn't really have much of an effect on Calistoga. The reason that Calistoga cools down is just simply because of the elevation. The city of Calistoga is 400 feet higher than the city of Napa, and that Calistoga can get up to 100 degrees in the summer and during the day, but down to 45 degrees at night. So it gets that intense ripening that brings you the big, powerful wines, but the cooling down in the evening still brings you all the acidity you're going to want. The entire AVA is underlaid by volcanic bedrock, the whole thing. So this is very, it's unusual for an entire AVA to be all exactly the same soil. Wow. The highest elevations of Calistoga can get 60 inches of rain a year, where up there the valley floor only averages about 38. So there's a big difference in the rainfall as well. I think probably the most famous winery that operates out of Calistoga is Sterling Vineyards. They were unfortunately badly damaged in the 2020, called the Glass Fire of 2020 in September. They haven't reopened yet, but they're working on it. They're targeting a 2023 spring-summer opening, so hopefully that all goes well. Okay, so what we have here from Calistoga is Turnbull 2014 Aminas Vineyards. This Turnbull's been one of our favorite producers since we visited them in Napa. 2013 maybe. God, it's almost been a decade already. I'm gonna go back to Napa. yeah, we discovered these guys, and they have they make spectacular wines from all over the valley. And this one, of course, from Calistoga, single vineyard. Oh, intense notes of vanilla, coffee, blackberry, a little bit of tobacco, cassis, plum. Lovely. Okay. Let's dive right in and let's see what Calistoga brings us. Oh, 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 oh. That is delicious. Delicious. Like chocolate covered coffee beans come right to the fore. Vanilla, blackberry, cigar box, long finish, cassis and plum are making an appearance about now. Lovely mid palate. Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful bottle of wine. That is absolutely spectacular. That's my favorite of the tasting so far. I would give that 95 points. That is just wonderful. Oh, so good, so good. All right, now let's move on to number 4 on the map, which is Stag's Leap Wine District. Now, just pardon me one second, I'm just gonna move this out of the way. So this wine is from Robert Mondavi. You really can't talk about Napa Valley without mentioning Robert Mondavi, can you? He passed away a few years ago, but he was the first one to build a big winery for tourists. So when you go down and tour Napa Valley now, you can thank him for that. He was just a visionary, he really was. And there's a Robert Mondavi Institute at UC Davis where they study horticulture and other aspects of winemaking. So this Stag's Leap is in the southern region of Napa. Cool morning temperatures, late in the day heat, and the afternoon breezes that come in from San Francisco, that fog. This is due to the location of it's a geographic feature in the Vaca mountain range called the Stag's Leap Palisades. Nice. The bright colored Palisades actually reflect sunlight into the valley, which heats the vineyards faster than the surrounding area and cools down the valley at night by funneling that cool air in from the mountains. This was the very first AVA in Napa, actually. So there's a lot of famous wineries you know from this district: Pine Ridge, Schaefer, Stag's Leap Winery, and Stag's Leap Wine Cellars. Yes, those are 2 completely different wineries. Don't confuse them. Stag's Leap Wine Cellars won the Judgment of Paris for 1973. SLV Cab was the red wine that won that tasting, and Stag's Leap Winery, completely different. They make Cab too, but they also make a Petit Syrah, which is probably their flagship wine. So if you've ever had a Stag's Leap Petit Syrah, that's from Stag's Leap Winery. And the chances are, if you've had a Stag's Leap Cab, that might be from Stag's Leap Wine Cellars, or maybe not. So Stag's Leap, you can get all 5 of the regular Bordeaux varietals there. And of course, as I mentioned, Petit Syrah, they grow a little bit. They grow a little bit of Syrah as well. This is their soil is gravelly volcanic loam, which tends to give the wines noticeable minerality. Let's see. It smells beautiful. Definitely some graphite there right off the bat, like a wet slate or with some black fruit and really herbaceous. Like I think I'm getting like a lot of dried thyme, dried sagebrush. Okay, well, let's see. Mm. Well, anyway, I can introduce the wine. It's 2014 Spotlight Collection Cabernet Sauvignon from the Stag's Leap District. Fewer than 1,550 cases produced. 2014, I said that right. Both wines were 2014. So, it's a perfectly good wine. This one I think is, whereas this wine is probably still elevating on its way up, this one I think may be on its way down, or at least it's not going to get any better. Really herbaceous, really dry. Yeah, there's some minerals there too. A little bit of wet slate, a hint of maybe like a pipe tobacco type of situation going on, but really dry and herbaceous, like all the herbs. Smells much fruitier than it tastes. Now, there's some like bitter red cherry there. A little bit of plum and some cassis. Yeah, so that's a nice wine too. It doesn't compare to that one. Not even close. No, it's delicious wine. I would give this 89 points. Very well made, nice wine, but I think it's around the $45 range. So 3 more wines to taste, including the one I'm hoping will be the most special of them all. I have to really work hard to be better than that. But I've actually, at the beginning of this tasting, I said there's going to be 8. It's actually going to be 9. I was at Everything Wine yesterday, and I was looking for actually some rosé for the rosé video, which is coming up, which I'm in process of putting together. And I got a couple of those, but I also noticed 100% Cab Sauv from Italy, Tuscany, I believe. So I'm gonna add that one into the tasting too. So I still got that one from BC, one from Washington State left to go. So let's get on to those. Okay, so here's the one I slipped into the tasting, the 9th bottle. 2016 Farnito Cabernet Sauvignon Rosso Toscano IGT from Carpenetto, a winery that makes a huge breadth of wine, and you've probably seen Carpenetto. They have all kinds of different stuff. Now, in Tuscany, of course, Sangiovese is king. Always has been, always will be, I'm sure. But Cab Sauv has been planted in Tuscany for over 250 years. Its popularity obviously exploded with the explosion of Super Tuscans, the Sassicaia and Tijanellos of the world. The reason a lot of these wines are still considered IGT, which is the 3rd classification down from DOCG, DOC, IGT in Italy, is because the Italian regulators have been so slow at allowing non-native grapes in their wines. So even most of the Super Tuscans, I believe they finally changed some of the rules recently, but most of the Super Tuscans, the big Sassicaia was an IGT forever. I think it's not now. I'm not 100% sure. I have to look that up, but I think because the grapes, the Cab Sauv, Merlot, and that, they weren't allowed in those wines. So when Super Tuscans first existed, they were just considered table wines because they weren't allowed to be classified as anything else. So this is, as far as I can tell, 100% Cab Sauv. I did try to look that up, but I couldn't find any information on any other grapes being in here. So I'm just going to go with the assumption that it's 100%. Wow. Red cherries and a little bit of forest floor, green pepper, bell pepper for sure. The spicy notes there too. There's some licorice, like it. I feel like it's almost a combination of black and red licorice. Maybe a little bit of black. It's not really intense, but there's a little bit like Twizzler candy there too. All right, let's taste it, see what we got here. This comes from grapes grown in 2 different areas, Florence and Siena. Oh boy, that's nice. Wow. Some cedar, vanilla, cassis, blackberry. got the earthy, dusty quality that you get from Sangiovese so much. So that's clearly coming from the terroir as well. There's a little bit of that there. If I had blind tasted this, I would probably have gone to Sangiovese, or I actually might have thought it was Super Tuscan. Nice, wow, that's a good wine. This is $40 at Everything Wine. Yeah, a little tart cherry. Kind of a medium plus finish. Not as long as some of the others. That's going to keep it from being a really high scoring wine, but I would still rate this 90 out of 90. I'm going to give it 90 points. Really good quality to price ratio for $40. Wow. Good. Okay, now let's go to my home, British Columbia. We have here 2015 platinum level Cabernet Sauvignon from Little Engine. I should have actually done a side-by-side comparison of the color, because the Italian one was a much lighter red color. This one is really dark and purple. Cab Sauv in BC's the third most widely planted red grape, behind Merlot and Pinot Noir, of course. Ooh, wow, that's a big boy. For some perspective, there's still twice as much Merlot planted as Cab Sauv, almost twice. So Cab Sauv is still not as big a deal in BC as it is in other parts of the world. It really does well in the warmer sites here, of course. Typically the eastern side of the Okanagan Valley, or the Similkameen. So yeah, we had some scratching at the door, and guest dog wanted to come in to say hello. It's the Similkameen, the south-facing benches in the Similkameen Valley. It usually does really well there. Good girl. All right, so wow, a lot of pyrazines there, a lot of bell pepper, a lot of cassis, blackberry, dried sage. Really intense, high intensity aromas. All right. Oh wow. Nice. Blackberry, red raspberry, cassis, dried herbs. Really well structured, beautifully fine grain tannins. 2015, so you know, a wine like this could age for, well, we don't really know how long it'll age beautifully, but you're gonna need a decade out of it at least, if not 15 years or 20 years. Acidity's medium plus to high. It's really gonna age lovely. I think it's beautiful now. It's looking great right now. I wouldn't necessarily hold these a whole lot longer. I mean, it'll pick up some tertiary characteristics, but very dry, very well balanced. That's a lovely wine. I would give that, right now, I'm going to score that 93 points. That is spectacularly delicious. So yeah, two more good ones in this tasting here. This one's a little more expensive, obviously, than the other one, but for $40, I'm gonna go get a couple more of these, add them to my cellar, or to my drink now wine fridges, because it's beautiful. At $40, well, great. All right, so now we are down to one, the bottle that I'm hoping will be the most special. Let's see if I'm right. All right, so here we are. We saved the best for last. I hope, I suspect. Not that there wasn't some pretty darn good stuff in this tasting. But here we are, 2019 Columbia Valley Cabernet Sauvignon from Kilseda Creek in Washington State. This is their flagship wine. It is one of the more respected wines that comes out of Washington every single year. I've never tasted this bottle. This is the newest release. We just got it He paid for it in January and we pick it up in May or something like that. It is pricey, but not, you know, Chateau Petrus pricey or anything like that. So let's see. I've only ever tasted this wine once. We went down and picked up our 2017, I think it was, at the winery a couple years ago. They had a pickup party pre-pandemic. It was incredible. I think I gave it 97 points. I have to look it up. It was spectacular. So 2019, another really good vintage in Washington State from the Columbia Valley. Columbia Valley doesn't tell you a whole lot because just about every wine you've ever had is from the Columbia Valley. It's 99% of the wine produced in Washington State. Now, all the big sub-GIs, Walla Walla Valley, Red Mountain, Yakima Valley, Horse Heaven Hills, Ancient Lakes, Lake Chelan, those are all part of the Columbia Valley. Columbia Valley is actually bigger than Napa Valley. Not a lot, but slightly. It encompasses about a third of Washington State. It's huge. So, you think, well, this is an expensive bottle from a top producer. Why is it just Columbia Valley? Well, they sort of this wine mainly sourced from the Shampoo vineyard in the Shampoo, like not shampoo, but shampoo vineyard, one of the more famous vineyards in Washington State. It's in the Horse Heaven Hills, but I guess they get a little bit of the fruit from outside, so it's called Columbia Valley. Oops, too loud. Okay, there we go. That's much better. So let's smell it, shall we? I'd be a law against wine smelling like that. All right. I'm drunk and I haven't tasted it yet. Wow. Violets, baking spice. A bit like a damp earth characteristics. Intense ripe cherries, black cherry and red cherry too, black plum. Oh my Lord, please let this taste as good as it smells. That's almost impossible, almost impossible. All right, here we go. So the other things about the Columbia Valley, which I didn't mention, it's a desert region. There's limited rainfall. In fact, it doesn't rain there at all, basically 6 to 8 inches a year. So that makes the grapes struggle, the vines struggle to find water, and that actually really improves the quality of the wine, which is a common thing in all aspects of the world. So they have to irrigate to have enough water to grow them, because obviously grapes, Vitis vinifera vines aren't going to survive on 6 inches of water a year. Oh, okay. So here we go. Let's dive in. Oh my God. I'm just gonna need a minute. Just talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna have to tell the wife this is crappy so I can hide it from her. I wouldn't do that, but it's tempting. So this is a wine that we've been buying from City Creek for, you have to get on the mailing list. You have to be accepted on the mailing list first. So it's not something you can just snap your fingers and do. Occasionally you'll see these in private liquor stores here in BC, and I'm sure other places in the world as well. This is, it cost me $150 US to buy from the mailing list, which is expensive obviously, but consider that it gets about the same scores as Screaming Eagle, which is what do they pay for Screaming Eagle buy a bottle now? Okay, from Napa, $2,000 a bottle, something like that? I mean, 150 seems like a bargain, doesn't it? Now I think Screaming Eagle gets 100 points every single vintage, and this one's not quite that high, but it's, I don't know if this is the 19, right? I'm not sure where it's been rated at, but I bet you they're good scores. I think the 18 got 100 points from just about everybody. That's the one year we missed, by the way. Thanks COVID. Couldn't cross the border, so we didn't order any wine that year, and that's the one year we missed. Was probably the best vintage in a decade. But there's no bad wine here. This is incredible. All right. Oh, blackberry, cassis, black plum, sandalwood, cedar, hints of clove, baking spice, other baking spices, like a little bit of cinnamon. Walnut. Some minerality to it too. Wow. And it finishes it. I'm just gonna wait a second to see how long it finishes for. We can put the Jeopardy music. I'd probably get copyrighted and I wouldn't even get it on air if I did that. Still going. Wow. Like a little bit of a like a blueberry jam, almost. Like a little bit of, like not, you know, in the jammy sense that can be negative, but a little bit of blueberry there. Still going. Wow, what a wine. Oh, well, I can't wait to taste the really good vintages. And this is, I think 19 was a good vintage. Oh, I got a little bit of, just got a little kick of like a wild strawberry there too. Like, anyway. Oh wow, that is spectacular. I'm still looking for my first 100-point table wine. I'm not giving this 100 points. I rate this wine 98 points. And I might even say 98 plus. I'm gonna stick to 98, but it is almost, this will probably get to 99 and we'll see if it ever gets to 100. You know, I'm not sure when I'm gonna pull the next one. It's out of the cellar, it'll be a while. But it is really, really spectacular, special bottle of wine. That is super. Now I'm gonna go drink it. Maybe I should drink it here so the wife doesn't know I'm drinking it. If I just like guzzle it right down and wander out, and that's probably not a good idea, is it? No. Okay, I guess I should get her a glass and share it. I think she's gonna enjoy it. So there you have it. We've gone across the whole world of Cabernet Sauvignon. 9 bottles, and boy, they were all good too. What was the lowest score? A couple 89s maybe? That's pretty good. My favorite bottles, well, there's no question, the Kilseeda Creek, obviously. Turnbow was spectacular. BC Cabs are really good. Wasn't a bad bottle in the bunch. What a great tasting. Well, I hope you learned a little something about Cabernet Sauvignon during this video. And most of all, I hope you had a good time seeing some of these bottles. Kind of cool to see, to get to taste a 1996 Cab Sauv from Chile. That was pretty cool. Anyway, I hope you liked it. If you did, please give this video a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Coming up soon will be the third installment of my annual Rosé series. That is getting close to being in the can. And until next time, drink great wine. See you soon.